Number 3. David Ranta.
Mr. Ranta, to say that I'm sorry for what you have endured would be an understatement and grossly inadequate, but I say it to you anyway. The defendant's motion to vacate the judgment of conviction is granted.
A judge freed a man unjustly convicted of murdering a rabbi more than 20 years ago, saying her apology was grossly inadequate. Ranta was sent to prison for the 1990 murder of Chaskell Wurzberger in a robbery. However, prosecutors said that they have insufficient evidence Ranta shot the rabbi. Also, a media report found detectives had mishandled the case. David Ranta was allegedly framed falsely by a New York City detective and served 23 years in jail for a murder he never commit. Received $6.4 million from the city of New York in a settlement, the lawyers involved in the case said. The city comptroller's office reportedly settled a $150 million claim filed last year by Ranta before a civil rights lawsuit was even filed. David Ranta was convicted in May 1991 of second-degree murder in the 8 February 1990 killing of a Brooklyn rabbi, and he was sentenced to 37.5 years in prison. Rabbi Chaskell Wurzberger was said to be shot in the head by a man fleeing a botched robbery. David was cleared of the conviction and released from prison in March 2013 following a review by the Brooklyn District Attorney's Office, which raised doubt on witness testimony and concluded detectives had mishandled aspects of the investigation. The innocent man's case was reported extensively in the 6-part CBS documentary Brooklyn DA, which aired in 2013.
I said from the beginning I had nothing to do with this case. If you're interested, there'll be as much paperwork as you like to read on this case.
Do you have any one thing you want to do?
Yeah.
The now retired NYC police detective Louis Scarcella led the investigation into Wurzberger's murder. Moreover, in the months after Ranta's conviction was thrown out, more than a dozen other convictions associated with the detective started being reviewed. The case against Ranta began to unveil in 2011 when a man called Menachem Lieberman reached out to Ranta's trial lawyer to inform him that he had uncertainty and discomfort with his identification of his client. According to the Times, this had sparked a year-long investigation which led to the discovery of more serious problems involving Scarcella and the case against Ranta. Number 2. John Bunn.
My name is John Bunn. I was recently exonerated after 27 years for being accused and convicted of a crime I had no knowledge of, I had nothing to do with.
A man from Brooklyn spent 17 years in prison after being wrongfully convicted of murder is suing the disgraced ex-detective he said framed him, and in the process, ruined his life. The innocent man cried in court last year after he was sentenced in the 1991 murder of an off-duty correction officer.
I'm an innocent man, Your Honor, and I have always been an innocent man, Your Honor.
A conviction which was based on tainted evidence produced by former NYPD detective Louis Scarcella. Bunn was just 14 when he was arrested and sent to prison in the Crown Heights murder of Rolando Nischer. In the lawsuit, Bunn said he was framed by Scarcella and another detective who arrested the middle school student without any sort of warrant, coerced a witness who was possibly drunk to identify him as the gunman, and then lied to prosecutors about how they did their jobs. On August 14, 1991, Bunn was sitting in his kitchen with his family in their Brooklyn, New York home. The morning was hot, 90 degrees in the shade, and their AC didn't work. Hip-hop music leaked in from the neighborhood.
One morning I was having breakfast and we had got a bang on our door, and it was a gang of police. They rushed into my home and they started saying I was involved in a fight and a robbery, and they wanted to take me down to the police station for questioning.
John Bunn's mother, Maureen, made pancakes for him and his younger sister. Bunn, who was on summer break, looked forward to a day of playing basketball with his friends. The police knocked on the door. The 14-year-old boy entered a police car and went to Brooklyn's 77th precinct. He was handcuffed to a pole and interrogated by Detective Louis Scarcella. And he was threatening me, Bunn recalled 30 years later, telling me that I was never coming back if I didn't tell him what he wanted to know. Number 1. Daniel Villegas. After 25 years, Daniel Villegas' long nightmare came to an end.
We, the jury, find the defendant Daniel Villegas not guilty of...
In 1993, Daniel was a 16-year-old high school student living in El Paso, Texas. In 2018, an El Paso jury found him not guilty of capital murder, and he was finally free for the first time since he was a teenager. Daniel Villegas was charged with capital murder in the 1993 deaths of Armando "Mando" Lazo and Bobby England. Villegas, who was 16 years old, is accused of fatally shooting Lazo and England in 1993. Villegas first went to trial in 1994, but a mistrial was declared after a jury could not reach a unanimous verdict. He was accused of capital murder by a jury in a second trial in 1995, and after serving 18 years in prison, the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals overturned the conviction. Armando Lazo and Bobby England, along with 2 other men, were walking home from a house party April 10, 1993, when they were shot at. England died near a ditch in the area, while Lazo went to a nearby home and knocked on a door before collapsing. He later died at a hospital. The other 2 teenagers, Juan Carlos Medina and Jesse Hernandez, survived the shooting. El Paso businessman John Mimbella Sr. became a leading voice in the efforts to get Daniel Villegas a third trial and release them from prison. Mimbella has put more than $400,000 in its efforts to prove Villegas innocent. What are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comment section below. If you found this video interesting, then be sure to leave us a thumbs up, and do not forget to subscribe to our channel and click on the bell icon to be always up to date with the most exciting content as soon as it is updated. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you again soon in another video.